Hey everybody, Wandering Kid here. Welcome back to the Space Agency. So, as we ran through my last episode, the Hawks, well, aren't doing so hot. I got a Hawk way out here. He's gonna go run around, and actually I'm gonna go cancel his maneuver node, bring him back towards, what do you call it, Duna orbit. And we'll let him come back in. Now, I did take a look at my contracts for satellites, and I've got two satellite contracts that don't require anything other than an antenna and power. One of my satellites I sent out a long time ago was the Duna Early Visitor. He's the first one who we brought in. Now, he's got a seismic on him, but that doesn't really matter to us. What we can do, though, is use him to take out two satellite contracts. We got one here. He needs to go to the 3.3 contract, which is the one the Hawk was aimed at before. And then he'll be going for the Ike contract. So what we're going to do is we're going to aim him out towards that ascending node, and we're going to do basically the same thing we did with the Hawk. This satellite still has 2500 Delta V on it, so I'm glad I made sure I saved some. Let's see, how's that looking? Let's bring it back a little and out a little. And that looks like it should be about right. Do I have it on the right one? Yep, that one. Okay, we need a little more out. There we go. And a touch. Oh. Come on, there we go. Right about there. That should do it. That'll cost us 300 Delta V, and once we get out there, we'll do the whole reverse course, etc., etc. So we'll let him take care of that. We'll add an R alarm, and we'll send him off on his way. Alright, we've got our apoapsis about where I wanted it. It's not quite on target, but we'll adjust from there. Now, we need to do the same thing we did before, which is reverse this thing entirely. So we're going to reverse it. There we go. And let's, while we're at it, let's get ourselves turned in roughly the right direction. There we go. That's pretty reasonably close. So we'll have a 400 meters per second burn way out here to get ourselves into the correct loop. And hopefully that should at least get rid of one of these SAT contracts that are just clogging up the system here. So we're pulling up to our maneuver node here. I've got a 24.2 second burn. Part of that's because I've got the engine back here throttled way back down to 30. That's just to make sure I keep some kind of reasonable control on it. I'm actually going to bump that up, I think, to 60. A little tighter of a burn point there for 12.1 seconds. So now we just wait a second. Well, overshot by a hair, but let's see how that worked out. Okay, we're maintaining stability, and there we go. That's one of them out. Nice 204K. Alright, now, out of curiosity, I'm wondering to see if we ever get an SOI. No SOI changes into Ike. So, since we're here, and we're about on plane, I'm going to burn a little towards prograde. See if I can't kick myself out. In theory, I'll eventually collide and get an Ike hit with that at some point. Simply because I'm a little off orbit and a little on orbit, so eventually I should come into a SOI change with Ike. What I'll do is, let's see. How far away is this? Okay, 1 day, 3 hours, so, well, just shy of 4 hours. So in a day and 4 hours, I'll take a look at where Ike is compared to us. And we'll see if I can't correct my orbit to try and chase or let Ike catch me one way or the other. And this way we can go in and grab that Ike satellite. In the meanwhile, Hawk should be coming home. At this point with the Hawk, I'm thinking I'm just going to dock it up to the Sword and just go from there. I really don't have any other spectacular options for what to do with it. So here at periapsis, we'll just settle it down. Let's see, where is sword? Sword, set as target. That brings us into a reasonably close orbit, and from there I'll figure out what needs to happen with it. But yeah, I'm a little frustrated with the whole Hawks thing. I had hoped to be able to do something useful with it. Now, as mentioned, my satellites don't necessarily need the antenna to be able to complete contracts if I pick some up on Ike, my high-low orbit ones, so thanks for that. And I can still use the Hawks to try and get in and out of atmosphere to clear some contracts, such as the temperature contracts. So I'm going to bring it in and refuel it, and we'll see what I can do with it from that nature. It's just frustrating that I don't have antennas on it. But we're going to bring the Hawk home, we're going to get him refueled up, and we'll get him prepped to go chase some of those temperature points, and we'll see if we can make another landing attempt over at that one site for thermostat, or with the thermometer. But this time we're going to do it with some RCS in the tank, so that I can brake properly and maybe actually land it. But one thing at a time. So let's get the Hawk back to the sword and get it refueled. So I just finished a few burns with the Hawk, and I wanted to come in and take a look at our early visitor, and it looks like we get a Ike encounter. So my adjustments did eventually do it. Now, for those of you who haven't played at Nuna before, not running into Ike is harder than running into Ike. It's pretty much a given that you're going to run into it. So I come into Ike in 4 hours 13 minutes, so let's clear that. Now if I take a look at Ike, focus the view, where am I coming in at? I wonder if I can adjust orbit to get that where I want it. Oh, we're getting that lovely, how do I get my maneuver node where I want it routine again. Alright, let's back out. I think aha! Got one on the blue line. Alright. Now, let's focus back on Ike. Let's try this again. Here we are. Let's open our maneuver node. And let's see what I can do about adjusting to try and get to there. Alright, there we go. Alright, looks like it's going to be reasonable. It's 239 delta V change, but that's kind of expected. So in about 3 hours and 43 minutes, we'll start our Ike approach, and we'll go get rid of this satellite burn at some point. We've still got 1,800 meters per second on our early visitors, so that will help. So we've done our burn adjustment to bring this up here towards Ike, and now doing basically a burn reversal and a good chunk of our normal anti-normal to switch our orbit round. It's going to cost us about 640 delta V. That's not too bad. I've still got plenty to go. And what it'll do is it'll set me up over here, and I'll be able to finish off my burn and finish this one out. So, not too shabby. We'll get this taken care of, and we'll just go from there. So our final burn, which should put us into our orbit, will cost us 84.6. By the time I'm done, I should have about 800 meters per second left on the satellite. That'll pretty much take it out of consideration unless I get something out here at the Ike orbit or something like that. So that'll end the early visitor, but I'm glad I sent it because it's going to clear 2 of these contracts for me that I thought I was going to clean out with something else. So that's always nice. Hawk's still working his way around towards a meeting with the sword, so this will take a bit. I've done a few things since you guys last dropped in. I cleared off my 2 high point temperature locations here. An S5U07 is a temperature spot that needs to be hit at 11.3 or lower. So what I'm doing is I just finished refueling the Hawk. It's got its 1604 meters per second. I'm going to bring her down, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a graze. I'm going to come in, I'm going to graze the area. And let's bring it down a little more, because we'll get some lift. So I'm going to come through, I'm going to graze the target. I'm going to pick it up, and then I'm immediately going to launch back into space. We're going to see how well this works. I think we should be all right, but I'll tell you in a minute. So, about to begin my burn to bring me in. It was a rough guess anyway, so it's not quite too worse. Oh, some serious off maneuver. I think I figured out where I get the problems from with my bending up, basically, and it's that top monoprop tank that I stuck on. While I'm in space, it unbalances my center of mass a bit. This one up here. And when it empties out, I'm good to go again. I don't get as much drift. So if you're doing this, or if you're copying my design, what I'm going to start doing is deactivating these side tanks and using only the center tank at first so that I can get stable as quickly as possible. And if you do use this design, center things off. Is in here? That's my goo pod. Yeah, that's my goo pod. Come on. Can I click you? Oh, because you're turned over. There we go. So, this pod up here, empty it out quickly, or don't use it, or put on a second on the other side just to balance yourself off, or something like that. But anyway, we're heading in for Atmo now. And if I've done this right, we should be... Oh, well, rephrase that. We're heading for Atmo that way. And if I've done this right, we should be able to dip into the Atmo, tag our spot, and get back out without losing too much speed. My deorbit, as you can see, is bringing me in not quite on target, but it's reasonable. I'll aim a little bit that way here shortly. Actually, I could probably denormalize at the moment, but give me a second here. Get myself lined up on prograde. Yep. And what we'll do is we'll turn on RCS. And am I burning the right way? Turn off fine controls. Nope. All right, so I need to burn to my right. Oh, because I've got those tanks shut off. I just looked at my Delta V and had a heart attack. Yeah, it's not really adjusting me very quickly, but it does do just enough to get me where I want to be eventually, so that works out nicely. So now we wait until we're coming to Atmo. Just came in under 42K. We're coming into Atmo. I've got RCS still on by accident. So that there is our target. So we'll activate nav. We're 250 kilometers off with what? I don't know, eighth of a spin. So the most you'll ever be, I guess, is about 1,000 kilometers away. Now, if we've done this right, we should be able to come right in across it, hit our thermostat, pick up what we need, and then burn out of here. I'm about 90 kilometers off, and I'm still far above where I need to be. I need to get under 11.3, if I remember correctly. I'm going to aim for under 11K, just to make sure I'm on target. We haven't dropped any significant speed yet. We're just starting to now as we come in under 15.5. I'm finally seeing any kind of drag on the ship of note. Once we get down under 11, I'm going to nose up a bit to see if we can't carry atmosphere. But I'm already starting to lose vertical speed drop, which is good. I think I'll even ourselves off. Start losing more of that vertical drop. We're 50 kilometers out now. We're closing in at a really good clip. Okay, I now should be in the safe zone. I'm going to nose up some. See if I can't carry this altitude a bit. At 37 kilometers. I'll have my thermostat ready to go. We haven't lost too much speed. Actually, we're gaining a little now. And we're definitely starting to climb. Oh, we're going to start climbing again here in a moment. Not too shabby. Coming in 20 kilometers here shortly. We've started to climb. I'm going to bring myself down a little. There we go. Don't want to climb out of it. Okay, let's bring that leveled off. All right, there we go. I got it. All right, now that we've hit that, let's get back to space. Okay, now I need to turn my side jets back on. Yep. Oh, no, away we go. Much steadier of a craft now. We'll bring our apoapsis, up to, let's say, 70-ish. Okay, we'll have to climb some here. I'm losing apo pretty significantly here, so I'm going to need a bit of speed continuance. I'm going to do it level to the ground so that I pick up my periapsis while I'm picking up my apo. I'm just trying to beat out drag a little bit. I'm still losing a little bit of apo, but my periapsis is still picking up. So I'm going to be basically trying to balance the two off. While I continue to gain speed and I get out of the thicker atmo here. So, here we are. We've reached orbital height, if not orbital speed. But we're pretty close. I don't think it's going to take us much. What I'm looking at here is, where is the sword? So I'm coming in a little over its orbit. I think I need to get ahead of it. So I pop this up a bit. When I say ahead of it, I'm going to come in ahead of it, so I need to get outside of its orbit. Much. 67, 66, it's at 65.3, 65.8. Oh no, it's at 66. Maybe I do need to bump that up a hair. There we go. Yeah, 68 should be fine. And with that plan, next to our 61 Delta V, it'll cost me, I guess, about 600 Delta V to do a dip. To go in for a check on something in low altitude. Hopefully, without too much overkill, I'll be able to glide in and go pick up that other site. The 1-EL. What I'm planning on doing is basically what I did last time. I'm going to try and come in to altitude down here at about 9-10K, and then turn and glide into it. This way I have Delta V to correct when I come back up. I can always have the sword head over and meet up with it as long as I leave about 50 Delta V inside the Hawk. I should have enough RCS for docking. So for the final expected mission for the Hawk 1, we have one more mission. Landing at Site 1-EL. This is a thermostat check. Landed. First things first. I believe we refueled you. Nope. Hold on. Bring it back after a refuel. We've refueled and just recently disconnected the Hawk 1. Now, where do I want to start my landing? I think we're going to start bringing it in around here. So here's the Hawk 1. We're coming in under 15K finally. And we've begun trying to catch some atmosphere to see if we can't get our turn going. Our wings are finally getting enough atmo that it's starting to counter our vertical speed fall. We're way over horizontal speed for real control still. That's probably going to have to get below 400 before we get any serious wing control. Our target's over there. If I remember correctly, it's at about a little under 5K for our landing site. And at this point, we're just kind of cruising in, and we're hoping to catch enough wind to start our turn here a little bit. Just kind of hoping Prograde catches up with me. Once I get down to about 9K, I should have enough to actually work with. So we've started our final approach. We're at about 65 kilometers out. We've ended up coming down to about 6K here in altitude. I'm going to kill off some of that downward velocity here. And we're basically just going to sit here and cruise off some of our horizontal speed until we can get things settled out. Maybe we can try and land this puppy. Still got a good distance to go, though. So I'll bring it back here in a bit. I'm coming in on a final approach here. I'm at 18.5 kilometers at the moment. I've dropped down to 5,500 meters ASL. I'm trying to just keep my nose up because if you'll notice out there's a mountain range in front of my target. I'm just going to try and breeze over them, just glide a little bit over the top of them if I can. Don't know how well this is going to work, but we're going to give it a go. I'm a little off target here. I'd rather be to the left of the target than the right, if I remember the landing zone correctly. And we're still just trying to bleed off some of this speed. Whoa. Kind of tough to control this bird. It certainly doesn't act as nimbly as it did in Kerbin. Half tempted to go try Kata's Thunderbolt design with its 1,000 wings, but, you know, one thing at a time. Alright, let's see here. Come on, pull up. There you are. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to touch my engines just a hair to keep me up. I'd rather not, but if I have to, I have to. As I've gotten below 100 meters per second, I'm having a hard time holding any form of lift. Come on, get up. We're just going to try and breeze over these mountains. I'm holding a wicked angle of attack here, but there's not much else I can do. Unless I want to engage my engines. And for obvious reasons, I don't want to do that. I actually want to burn off this speed. It's just this mountain range is in a really nasty position for me to do so. There we go. I think we're about to clear those mountains. Now here's where it's going to get interesting. The landing point for this was horrible. Just horrible. Alright, so now we need to start going down again. Let's get our gear out. Might as well turn on our lights for the fun of it. That's not what I meant to do. No. It's a cool looking landing scenario. Alright, we need some lift. There we go. Now, one of the things that happened horribly last time was the bumpiness of this zone really beat me up. Just took me to the cleaners. So, we're going to try something. I'm going to try and VTOL in. I'm going to brake with my RCS. I'm going to brake really hard with my RCS. And I'm going to try and VTOL this down. Oh. That didn't work. So, well, that's the end of the Hawk series. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, the remote guidance unit got taken out. Let's close this. What's left of the plane? Just the shell. So, landing down in here is pretty much nasty. I needed a much better landing zone. Trying to land into these sites with a winged craft. Unless you're built for VTOL, I don't recommend trying it on Duna. The surface is just too nasty. You need to be able to pick your sites for landing winged aircraft. Obviously. I'm trying to get to any particular location. And if you're going to try and do what I just did, have more thruster. Have more thruster block. Part of the problem was I just didn't, when I lost forward speed, I didn't have the lift necessary to keep myself from getting a significant significant negative vertical speed. And coming up on that other rise, I thought I would have more braking power, and I don't. This might be easier in the new 1.0 with the new air brakes to be able to do something like that, but still, you're going to need some kind of VTOL engine if you're going to try and bring these into these sites. But that's the end of the Hawks. On our next start again. On our next episode, we should have the Ares Helm coming into town. And we'll see what we can do with that. But for now, we've lost both our Hawks. We're pretty much out of drone craft. Everything else is going to have to be done by Kerbal. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.